ADR-LINK is a program of the London Family Court Clinic and matches families referred for service to qualified practitioners. The practitioners are not LFCC employees and do not work for the Children's Aid Society offices. They are independent, impartial professionals trained to assist families and CAS to work towards resolutions that will focus on the best interests of the child or children. As we forge forward and continue working with Indigenous nations, we want to first acknowledge, respect, and recognize the deep connection and historical relationship Indigenous peoples and the land we share. With support, accountability, and much respect to the following traditional homelands and territories of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe or Chippewa Nation, Haudenosaunee, people of the Iroquois, which includes the United Nations, Lenape, also known as the Delaware, and the Attawandaron, also known as the Neutral, the Wyandot, also known as the Huron. There are 11 First Nation communities in the region of southwestern Ontario and over 120 First Nations in all of Ontario. What is Indigenous Alternative Dispute Resolution, also known as Original Dispute Resolution? Indigenous Alternative Dispute Resolution, IADR, or Original Dispute Resolution, ODR, are cultural communication circles designed and delivered by Indigenous facilitators to assist Indigenous families who are involved in the child welfare system. Even though IADR or ODR has recently been legislated in Indigenous communities, the circle is simply part of our culture. The circle inspires a different quality of conversation. We tell stories and share experiences. We are more likely to speak from our hearts and listen from our hearts. We want to experience each other not as adversaries, but as human beings where no one is above or below in the circle. Everyone is equal and brings skills and gifts to contribute to the problem. IADR or ODR circles offer a different way of dealing with the challenges of everyday life as well as of responding to the larger systemic problems of the Western laws and approaches. Circles help us learn how to be in a good way with each other, how to think with one mind and heart for the greater good. Just like the bison formed a circle around their young, old, and sick when threatened, their circle holds the child or the children at the center, and everyone is a part of that protection ring. In 2006, the Children and the Family Services Statute Law Amendment Act Bill 210, where the child is an Indian or Native person. 2. If the issue referred to in subsection 1 relates to a child who is an Indian or Native person, the Society shall consult with the child's band or Native community to determine whether an alternative dispute resolution process is established by that band or Native community, or another prescribed process will assist in resolving the issue. There are different kinds of circles. Given the horrendous history between Indigenous families and child welfare authorities, each circle is evaluated by Indigenous facilitators to ensure the trauma needs of the family is addressed. IADR is a shorter and more focused circle process for the Indigenous families who are emotionally and mentally ready to resolve their differences with a child welfare agency or their family members. 1 or 2 circles can be held until a plan is created by the family and comes to consensus with a child welfare agency. ODR, on the other hand, is more of a healing process and can take several months to complete. Healing or sharing circles happen when Indigenous families are in high conflict with a child welfare agency or caregivers. In some cases, the facilitator will ask the child welfare agency to stand down when healing/sharing circles take place. Indigenous elders, healers, or trauma specialists are asked in to help families with the flight, flee, freeze response to systemic trauma. Once the family has settled their issues, then they come back into a final decision-making circle with a child welfare agency. Who can make a referral? Indigenous caregivers, families, a child welfare agency, band reps, community agencies can all make a referral to IADR/ODR. Before work can begin, each referral must have a completed referral form including confirmation that a FNMI community representative has been advised IADR has been requested for the case. Signed consents from all parties, including children 12 years of age and older. Notification to the Office of the Children's Lawyer. The circle is not mandatory. It is a voluntary process that requires consent from families. How can IADR/ODR help Indigenous families? If a family is headed to court, a talking circle can be held to prevent court. If a family is already in court, the court can adjourn and a circle is held with family and officials to help streamline the court process. The circle increases communication for all parties and clarifies the issues. In a circle, there is no hierarchy. Officials and families are equal participants. Sometimes healing circles are used to address the family trauma to help Indigenous families be more ready when working with CAS. Sharing circles are held when Indigenous families need more understanding or clarification of what the issues are. The best plans for children are when everyone is on the same page and has the same information. Sharing circles help the family to come to one mind about the problems and make a plan for growth and healing. When should cases be referred? IADR/ODR Indigenous facilitators highly recommend referring families to circle early in the case, particularly if communication is already strained. Indigenous circles can prevent court. Some examples for a referral, but not limited to: parent-teen conflict, community linking, support in building family strengths, family comes together to identify service needs, supervision orders, openness arrangements, cases going to court, polarized family systems, customary care agreements, formal or informal. If referring workers are in doubt if the case qualifies for IADR/ODR funding, please contact ADR-LINK at adr-link@lfcc.on.ca. Who participates? Everyone is invited because they care for the child or children, family, and community. When relationships are complicated or broken down, however, this is when IADR/ODR gets broken down to increase the comfort level of the family. The family drives the process. Sometimes circles start very small, then builds to include all participants. Indigenous elders, knowledge keepers, healers are all included in the circle. Office of the Children's Lawyer attends the circle. However, if the circle is for family healing, they do not attend. IADR/ODR Indigenous facilitators are neutral in the process and have no decision-making power. How does the work get done? All parties consent to the process. First meeting with referring worker and IADR/ODR practitioner to clarify the needs of the family, bottom lines, and the history of the family. IADR/ODR practitioner connects to the OCL. IADR/ODR practitioner builds relationships with all service providers involved: probation, Indigenous treatment/mental health providers, explore relationships, build trust with all participants. Circle meetings generally start with Indigenous prayers and purification. Confidentiality agreement. Everyone must agree to confidentiality prior to the circle. Only IADR/ODR keeps notes aside from the personal notes of the Office of the Children's Lawyer. Clarify the intent of the circle. Agreement. Unpack the problems or concerns, one speaker only at a time. Reframe, clarify strengths, tell the story, identify feelings, communicate needs, release. Redefine, family planning can be in private time or in open talking circles. Reconnect, collective healing and communication. Move towards agreement, demonstration of plan, next steps, file closure. Here's what we've learned. IADR/ODR problems are directly linked to systemic issues from different mandates of various providers. Failure to address the social problems that undermine a parent's ability to fully care for their own children. Indigenous families need appropriate cultural services for drug/alcohol treatment, parenting courses, etc. Attention to process and actual needs versus outcome based interventions. Unique programming and lack of funding. Ongoing education of non Indigenous providers, impact of historical traumas in Indigenous lives, Millennium Scoop, cultural training, customary care agreements. Need Indigenous kin/foster homes. Families need appropriate holistic services for parents/children. Controlled entry to IADR/ODR. Some payment transfer agencies do not allow Indigenous community/family referrals. Western power, dominant system, Indigenous families are forced to have our rights and voices heard in Canadian legal systems. The English language is noun focused. Indigenous languages are verb driven, more process oriented and descriptive. Two distinct worldviews at play. Different understandings of the same word cause miscommunication and misunderstanding between parties. Indigenous worldviews focus on equality, collectivism, and interrelationships. Western thoughts are to focus on defects and risk. Use of alternative undermines Indigenous approaches to law. In summary, the IADR/ODR process is not just an alternative mechanism to resolve differences between child welfare providers and Indigenous families. It is a process with deep roots in Indigenous culture long before ADR was invented. IADR/ODR enhances child safety, restores the balance in the community, and provides action to the call of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, also referred to as the TRC. It allows for creativity when the family needs to be flexible. The collective relational worldview of IADR/ODR utilizes every resource available to keep kids out of care, support parents, and save the taxpayer thousands of dollars by keeping families out of court. Every Indigenous family should be offered a circle to resolve the concerns. After confirming the family is willing to participate in an ADR service and consents to their information being shared with the ADR-LINK and the ADR practitioner, then complete the ADR referral form and provide as much detail as possible. Send completed Office of the Children's Lawyer notification to Office of the Children's Lawyer via fax to 416-314-8050 or email ocllegaldocuments@ontario.ca. Send the completed ADR referral form, all signed consents, the Office of the Children's Lawyer notification form, and proof that it has been faxed to Office of the Children's Lawyer to adr-link@lfcc.on.ca or fax the documents to 519-679-4234. For further information about Indigenous Alternative Dispute Resolution, also known as Original Dispute Resolution, please consult the ADR-LINK website, www.adr-link.ca.